Okay, we are officially going live. I'm just going to wait a couple minutes because I know of a few people that I think are coming on here. I am not used to doing YouTube lives, so hopefully I'll be good with comments that come up and if the screen is weird and stuff like that. But for right now, it is working. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about what this is going to be. I just wanted to create a video about service dog etiquette and how you should react if you come. Hi, Abby. I'm seeing how the contacts are working, how the comments are working now. This is good. They're just gonna pop up, I guess. So that's good trial. Feel free to ask any questions or comments on experiences I've had. I have had my dog for a year now. It's not officially the day he came home, but I was with him at this point a year ago in training. So that's pretty awesome. So we've had quite our share of adventures over the past year, and I wanted to share some things that everyone should know and some things that people won't know, the public, about service dogs and how you should act around service dogs, and also some good helpful things on the side of being the handler, because I know that some of my friends are going to eventually be service dog handlers, and that is very exciting. So first of all, when we're going into public for any service dog team, that means that the service dog, our dog, is working. Sonoma is working. That's why he's wearing his vest, or that's why he is wearing his harness. He is working. So he's working. It's not playtime, it's not cuddle time. That doesn't mean I can't give my dog a kiss and something like that, but it means it's time to watch over me. Now you have a job, Sonoma. And Sonoma is very well aware of his job. You are going to, you can't hide the fact that there is a dog. Whenever we walk into a room, a store, a place, yes, it's like the elephant in the room because people aren't expecting a dog. So I understand that people are not going to expect a dog to walk in, and kids are not going to expect a dog to walk into a restaurant, and it's going to happen many, many times because we're going to all different places and seeing all different people. And that's just how it is, and you have to know how to deal with those situations. It's really helpful if the public does not distract a service dog that is working, which is any service dog you see out, because you don't know what job they're doing. I'll get into that more later. There are many forms of distraction, and I think that confuses people a lot because they think they're not distracting the service dog, and they are, and it gets confusing. Staring at a dog is distracting. You can be staring at a dog that's all the way on the other side of the store, and that's not going to be like a big deal because the dog isn't staring at you most likely. But when there is a person and a dog that are having eye contact, like, that's a no-no. Eye contact with a service dog, the service dog should be having eye contact with the handler. And I keep a lot of good treats with me when I'm out in public to help Sonoma not be distracted by the people that are distracting him. And sometimes people can just be staring at him, and it doesn't always mean it's a bad thing that they hate dogs and they hate service dogs and they think he's faking. They might be staring at him because they think, oh my gosh, that dog is so awesome, or just they have no idea. They're like, oh my gosh, a service dog, you know, a guide dog. They don't know. And it might be a positive thing, but it comes across as a negative thing for the handler. So always try to avoid eye contact with a service dog. It's pretty easy. If you don't... Yeah, I know. I don't know why Richter is barking Sonoma. It's okay, honey. You just don't have eye contact with a service dog. If you... Hello, buddy. How are you? If you are dying to talk to the handler, there are many handlers that are very willing to talk to you about their service dog, but I would be really careful about that, because hello, someone I don't know from New York. That's pretty cool. I would be very careful about that, because sometimes you don't want to be stopped 20 times. You're just a regular person who wants to be at the store and get their gallon of milk and go home. And some people will stop, and this all depends upon you. Like I have said, I have friends who are getting service dogs. If they want to stop and share all 30 things that the dog does for them, then they can do that. If they want to say nothing and say this is my service dog, or turn around and walk away, they can do that too. There are many ways to responding to people that are another distraction. Talking to your service dog. Talk to the handler. Don't talk to the dog. I have never had a problem with a person who has walked past me and said to me and looked right in my eyes and said, "You have a beautiful dog," and we kept walking, and I say thank you, because that's a nice thing to say. And that's as small and as little as it gets, and it's not a big deal. Don't ever go to a service dog and go like, "Oh, your dog," and get all in dog's face and then start reaching for the dog. You never touch a service dog. It often says on service dog vests, but it doesn't have to. It depends on the handler, it depends on anything, but you do not pet service dogs. If you even think about putting a hand on a service dog, you need to ask the handler, may I pet your service dog? I wouldn't even ask that, to be honest, because I would never, like this day, go up to someone and ask to pet their service dog, because the dog is working. The dog could be a diabetic alert dog. The dog could be a cardiac alert dog. There's so many kinds of alert dogs. A seizure alert dog, like Sonoma is, and all of these things where, I don't know, I don't want Sonoma being a petting zoo. If you want to go pet the dog and pet the animals, you can bring yourself and your child to the petting zoo, but my dog and I are just going to go through the grocery store or go through the mall just like everyone else and have the same rights as everyone else. When someone reaches towards Sonoma, I instinctively put my hands out and say, no, you can't touch him. Sometimes I just put my hands out and go, no, he's working, or no, you can't touch him. One time I had this person, I was in a waiting room, and I was waiting for my mom in the waiting room, and I was just standing up because the seats were like really crowded and there wasn't a lot of room for Sonoma, and I started walking just down the aisle of the waiting room, and this man was just sitting there waiting as well, and he reached out and gave Sonoma a little smack on the butt, and it wasn't like a I'm trying to hurt you thing. That would have been bad, but it was kind of like a, I don't know, being like a rough boy, like playing around. Like I wouldn't do that to Sonoma now. Like I pat him, I'm really gentle with him, but I was shocked. I was like, first of all, like that was a little bit on the hard side, and and hi Greta, and you do not pet my service dog, who is clearly vested, and this person actually knew me, so this person should have known better. So, out of complete instinct, because I did not expect this at all, I said very sternly, "You cannot do that." And the whole waiting room heard me, and the whole waiting room turned their heads to me of like, what just happened? Like, wasn't that big of a waiting room place. Most of them probably saw it, and if they didn't, they turned around and they heard me talking. So that's what I said. And there is a huge difference when you're responding to people that are asking about your service dog or asking about yourself, between being stern and being rude. Sometimes people are being really rude and they come to Sonoma and they start just trying to pet him, and they just reach their arms out. No words come out. They don't even ask, "May I pet your dog?" And I would say, "No, I'm sorry, he's working." "No, he's working. I can't right now, he's working." And usually just like, okay. One person, this happened when I was coming out of an elevator, was like, "Oh, dog." Now this was a lady, it's not like it's a child. This is a grown adult. "Oh, dog, you're so cute, at Sonoma." And then looked up at me and said, "Oh, I know that service dog is working, and I'm not supposed to do this, but he's so cute." And I said, "Then don't. If you know you're not supposed to do this, then don't. Don't distract the dog. Don't make barking noises at a service dog." How many times have I been in a hospital with Sonoma, because he is allowed in the hospital, and he's very helpful in the hospital, and medical professionals come in and start barking at my dog. I'm like, who barks at a dog? Like, who barks at someone else's dog? Who barks at a service dog? I'll tell you who does. I'll tell you who does. Doctors. Crazy. Do not bark at a service dog. Do not reach out for them. Do not ask about someone's disability. Someone may be really open and want to talk about it, and they could bring it up themselves. Like, so they say, your service dog is so beautiful. "Oh, thank you. My service dog's name is Max. He does this, and this for me because I was in an accident in 2012 and blah, blah." Someone can easily go and say something more if they want to. But there are other things that people may not want to talk about, and they have a service dog. They might have certain psychiatric conditions that are invisible, that they don't want to talk about. "Yes, this is my dog. I have post-traumatic stress disorder from blah, blah, blah," and share their terrible traumatic story that causes them more problems. "And this is my dog that does this. And yeah, I have depression." And some people, on the other hand, may not be bothered or embarrassed by the fact that they have depression and may want to share that. But that can get handlers in an uncomfortable situation, where I know one of my friends who has a service dog didn't want to share what his dog did because he didn't want people to know about all of his medical information. So he started telling the public, when they asked what his dog did, he would answer and say complete things that were completely wrong, and we laugh about this all the time, that it was a seizure alert dog. I was just like, just say what my dog does, say what Sonoma does. People don't know. Like, oh, that's a really good idea. Another thing I do at Sonoma is people always ask what his name is, and I don't know about most people, but most pet dogs know their names. Service dogs know their names. If I go, "Hey Sonoma," his head goes up and he looks at me and he gets attentive because he heard his name. Do I want him to do a task? What's up? So I don't just go around saying his name is Sonoma. I make it a game that whenever someone asks what his name is, I make him a girl. I've said girly names, like his name is Tulip, and I try not to laugh. I've said his name is Summer. That was close to Sonoma, so it wasn't that bad. I've said his name was Molly. I have gone, because then they go, oh, Molly, that's cute. Oh, and then Sonoma's not turning his head and getting distracted because he's not hearing his name. That's a lot easier than saying, oh, I can't tell you my dog's name because of A, B, C, and D, and explaining it. You never want to pet a dog, eye contact, separate a service dog from their owner. I don't know who would think of doing that. You always want to be respectful when you're in a place and I see a person with a service dog. Give them some extra room to walk around. I'm glad that was a good tip with the names. Thank you. It's funny because it becomes a game of like, what silly name? And my mom will be like, I dare you to say this. And I'm like, that's a crazy name. I'm never going to say that to someone. And then we'll say it and back and forth. And then seeing what people's reactions are. So it is pretty funny because that is a really common question we get asked. Also, what kind of dog is he? But that's a really also simple question to answer that I don't mind answering because it takes all of 2 seconds. So when you're public, give service dogs and teams their space. Don't stare at them. Give them room. They are medical equipment. They are not pets. Do not be touching their gear. Do not be talking to the dog. Do not be reaching for the dog. Do not be making eye contact and distracting the dog with different noises of different sounds that are really, really confusing and weird. Like, people start making like animal sounds and doing weird things. Don't freak out also. Like, the dog is here to work. The dog is on a leash. It's just a dog. If people are allergic to dogs, they can go somewhere else. I'm sorry, that might sound very harsh to people who are allergic to dogs, because an allergy is an allergy. You can't help what you're allergic to, but service dogs are allowed everywhere. Someone just said, it's like, hi, can I pet your wheelchair? Exactly. A wheelchair is medical equipment. You don't see people going up and touching other people's wheelchairs and, oh, I'm gonna take this wheelchair around and spin it around and bring you up and down and woo, this is fun. Now, I'm sure years ago, disabilities and people who had disabilities, it was way worse with people staring at people who have wheelchairs or other mobility aids. And now you see a person with a wheelchair and it's like, oh, like, what? What's the difference? That's how it should be with a service dog. Hello, I do not know who this person is, but they're saying hi to me, so hi. It should be like that. Just like a wheelchair, you're not gonna go crazy about. Don't go crazy about the dog because they sense your feelings. If you're anxious, they might become anxious because they're wondering, what is this person anxious about? If you start getting excited, then you get the dog overly excited, especially if the dog is new, and then you're trying to calm the dog down because you're the handler and you're trying to handle the dog, and they were getting distracted. If you get scared because you like cats and dogs aren't your thing, the dogs sense that you're afraid and wonder why are you afraid? And they might, they get confused. So if you run into a service dog in public, it would be best to just ignore them and pretend they are not there. Just like we don't stare at every single person that is walking through the grocery store, we mind our own business. That's how it should be with a service dog. There are times when you can talk to a handler, possibly. It depends on the handler, and it depends on the person. You never have to, you're never obligated to talk to a person who is interested in your service dog just because they're interested. You don't have to. When lots of people, and it's really busy, kind of go crazy over Sonoma, I just say Sonoma, and I just talk to Sonoma, and I completely ignore all of the people who are saying this, da, da, da. Oh, service dog, is that yours? Da, 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 da. Oh, can I pet your dog? Da, da, da. And I just say, Sonoma, oh, we're coming this way, and I muddle my way through, and I put my hand out to people, and I say, don't pet him, don't pet him. And I can be very direct, but I've never screamed at a person, because that does not show that I am being in charge in a good way of my team. That does not show that I'm being really responsible and acting appropriately, in my opinion. Have I seen videos on YouTube of handlers screaming at other people because of service dog problems? Yes, but that is not the way that I would handle a situation. You always need to be as calm as you can, and it is not worth the fight most of the time. Mostly you just want to get out of there and bring your jug of milk home and move on with your life. If anyone has any questions about approaching a service dog or a handler, or being a handler with a service dog and going out and not being sure about how to react to certain situations, what to do in certain situations, please feel free to comment any questions. If I see any comments on this video afterwards when it is posted, I have to figure out if I just press the X when I'm done, if that's how I stop recording, or there's a ... I don't know if that does. Feel free to leave comments, and I will personally respond to them if it is after I am finished being live. Also, for service dogs that are in training, you can't expect a service dog that's been a service dog for 5 years, 2 years, or 3 months to be perfect. A dog could have an accident in a store. It happens. The handler should be prepared to be able to clean it up, because you can't just leave that there. But it happens. Dogs, service dogs are not robots. They are dogs. They do things that are absolutely amazing. Restaurant access issues, 88 cards. Okay, so I got my dog from Etiquette, Educated Canines Assisting with Disabilities, in the border of Newington, Connecticut, and we were talking about this one day, like, what if you go somewhere and you know that you're entitled to go to this place because it's a public place and I have a service dog, but they're just not going with it because some places they're just a little wound tight, and luckily I haven't really run into that. One time I just had a person ask when I went to a restaurant, is that a service dog? And I said yes, and then they said okay. They didn't ask for anything, but you can have ADA cards that show the law of that I am allowed to have my service dog here, and hand them to people in restaurants that do not understand. I think that my biggest piece of advice about this is that to not make a big deal about it. If you're standing there and it's been 15 minutes and they're still going, oh no, we're not letting you in with the dog because it's food and it's a violation and this and that, maybe that person's allergic to dogs. You know, they're not, oh, they don't care about the paper. Honestly, I would just walk out and later call up the place and inform them about service dog laws. And also, if you're concerned about going to a place, like we have a pizza place near us, I can call up the pizza place and say, hello, I just want to let you know that I'm coming for lunch this afternoon and I have a service dog with me, a certified service dog, and that dog will be coming with me. And let people know ahead of time, and then that should help prevent issues. If there are issues and people are being a real big problem, you can just say, you know, then I will go somewhere else. You're not going to allow this. I wouldn't call the police on if it's just talking and like no one's like throwing things at you and stuff like that. I would not get down to their level. I would stay at the top and I would just peacefully walk my way out. Yes, you are allowed to be there, but it's not worth arguing and nonsense. And you can always call them up and explain, hey, I came in, I had issues with coming in with my service dog. Can I speak to the manager about this? And see how that goes. Trying to think of anything else that I want to cover before I log off here. Trying to think of some other things I do with Sonoma out in public. I always have him watching me. If there's a really busy area, I have him face the other way, facing towards me, so being strategic. You really want the dog to be as unseen as possible, so that if you're in a restaurant or somewhere, people don't even realize you have a service dog. And then it's really great because then you're not creating any problems. It is really important to know the difference between being stern and being yelling and being kind of crazy, because you can be very stern to a person and say, do not touch my service dog, you cannot touch my service dog, and things like that. And we don't do that. No, my service dog is protecting me. No, I do not talk about my disability. There are many ways to be stern and to the point and being direct without being rude and yelling and raising your voice. I think that is very important. I think it is very important to let the handler do their thing, like I said. And if you think the time is right, I've had people come up. I've had a boy when I was at my eyeglasses appointment, and we were waiting there for ages, just in the waiting room. This is a different waiting room this time. And there was this boy who was waiting there too, and he was like 9. And he was like, oh, well, what does your dog do? And I'm like, trying to bring this down to like a 9-year-old level, where like a 9-year-old would understand like some basic things Sonoma did, because he wouldn't understand all the difficult things. And that, oh, there's a service dog and he's working, and the child did ask if he could pet Sonoma, and I said, no, I'm sorry, you can't pet him because he's working. And it was very educational. And those are really great times too, because I'm like, oh, I just spent a half an hour in the waiting room, but I was talking to this nice boy and he was being really polite and just trying to understand, because he's never been in a waiting room where there was a dog, a big cute dog in the room with a red vest on, and he's wondering what that means. And then he starts talking about his school, and then I ask him if he has any dogs, and what does his dogs do, and my dog does the same thing. And my dog likes to do that. And yeah, my dog comes with me in public because he's a special dog, and that's why he's wearing this red vest. So I find it really interesting to teach children, because eventually they're going to grow into adults and they're going to know what to do, compared to a lot of adults now that do not know how to react and how to respond to any kind of working dogs around. One of my friends who currently does not have a service dog, I don't know if she heard about it, I don't remember exactly, or if she knows someone who did this, I forget. But she was telling me about like someone who has little like business cards about their dog, where it's like, I can't talk to you for 15 minutes about what my dog does, but I'll give you a little card and it can say like, this dog is a mobility alert dog and does this, this, and this, and helps me with this, and this dog came from this organization, a little bit about the dog, and maybe a little bit about your disability. And people might not want to put that out there because it might be too personal to them, or they might. And I thought that was a really interesting idea. Like, it spreads awareness about service dogs, and it's really all how you go about things. And there's a million ways to say no, you can't pet my service dog, by being nice and being firm and being respectful, and there's a million ways to do it disrespectfully and being mean and being rude. It's all in your voice and your tone and it's all on how you say things. And there are going to be people that do pet Sonoma, and I say, you can't pet my service dog, or sorry, you can't pet my service dog. Children who do it. The kids don't know better. It should be the adults telling them not to do that. So you just really need to adjust. I've learned that I need to adjust to my situation, how I handle what is going on. Is it worth me talking to this person? Should I ignore it? Should I say his name is Sonoma and where he came from? Or should I pretend I didn't hear them and keep going because I just have to right now and I have to do what I have to do? And that comes with time, and that just comes with being exposed more and more in public and coming across more people who kind of get you off track and like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. They catch you in the unexpected and you're like, oh, I wasn't expecting you and I don't know what to say. And then you kind of think about, oh, I could say this, I could say that, and I don't really want to talk about this disease, but I could say this again. Hi, Kira. It's probably almost dinner time for you. Don't let the pasta overcook. So yeah, Kira, I'm about to like finish this now. So if you want to see, oh, Kira, you gave me, okay, so my friend Kira has a dog, not a service dog. She has a little Welsh Terrier. Am I saying it? I hope that's right. She has a Welsh Terrier, a little Welshie. And one important thing that just reminded me of, because her dog isn't a service dog, her dog is just a great pet, adorable, cute dog, is that do not bring dogs that are not service dogs. Welsh Terror? Oh, she is not a terror. Welsh Terrier. Do not bring dogs that are not service dogs into public. Do not buy vests on Amazon and just put them on your untrained dog to say that they are service dogs, because that can really, really harm a handler. And you might think that that's overreacting, but it really is not. For some people, it might not be a big deal. But for other people, their dogs are trained to somehow tell when they're about to have a heart problem and when they're about to faint. And then if this poodle, whatever, over here, fake service dog, starts distracting my real service dog, and then I don't get the sign telling me that I'm going to faint and I'm going to have a problem, then splat, there's Cassidy on the floor from fake service dog. And that's an issue with, there's a big issue with fake service dogs, because you can't go on Amazon and anyone can like go online and buy service dog vests and put them on their dog and say their dog is a service dog. Yeah, your dog might not act like a service dog. Maybe your dog does act very well and has very good behavior, but even so, if your dog is a pet and you are not disabled and your dog does not do tasks and is a real service dog, you know if your dog is a real service dog, your dog belongs at home. You can see your dog when you get home. You do not need to bring your dog with you, especially if your dog's going to sit in the little front part of your shopping cart. Don't really think that your dog is being a service dog. Yeah, if we brought my pet dog out into public, he would be sniffing at every single person because he loves people, and he pulls really hard on a leash, and he's strong, but then he like chokes himself because he pulls so hard but he doesn't stop. You would know that's not a service dog. Doesn't matter if he puts Sonoma's vest on him. Our dog Richter is not passing for a service dog. You know, he can't hear. I don't even know if he sees right. He's slow, but yet he'll pull across the whole store. He doesn't listen to one command. A lot of that is because he can't hear now. It'd be a mess. So, for the safety of your pet dog and the safety for other people's real service dogs, keep your pets at home. That's where pets belong. You're not going to bring your fish for a walk, so don't bring your pet dog for a walk. You're not going to bring your bunny out with you, or your guinea pig, or your frog, so don't bring your pet dog out with you to a store. I also want to say that a lot of these things that happen between service dog handlers, just the communication or lack of communication or miscommunication between service dog handlers and the general public, often in my experiences has been good experiences, or experiences that, oh, you know, that person was going to pet the dog, but then I said, oh, you can't pet my dog, and they went, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And you can tell, oh, they really didn't mean, they weren't like, oh, you can't pet the dog. Like, they honestly didn't know better. I mean, let me know if you went to a college or a high school where you took a class on how to be around people with disabilities, service dogs, wheelchairs, people who have amputated legs and not to stare at people, and also a class in common sense and respect. That should be next. Lots of people have, I'm just gonna like pan this over. Sonoma's hanging out right here. Lots of people have really good intentions, and I found out that so many people in the world love dogs, and that's why they're like, oh my gosh, the dog is so cute, and they don't realize that they're distracting the dog. And I have to say thank you, and you know, bring them back down to, you really can't do this. And a lot of people are extremely receptive to that, and that makes me really happy that people do listen, and most people do not know. Most people are just ignorant. There are people out there that, you know, are going to do what they want to do because they feel like it, and they have that kind of arrogant attitude, and those are the people that I ignore, or that I'm just very stern with and move on. But most people I have come across simply really like dogs and don't know that they're distracting them and causing any harm, and they don't know that just saying hi to the dog and looking in their face is causing a problem and can be distracting them, and they just need education. So that's why education and awareness is really important. And if you have a minute as a service dog handler to say, oh, you know, why not to do that? Why not to pet my dog? It is helpful. We can't do that all the time because that's not my job to stand in the grocery store and educate people about service dogs and walk down every aisle and keep telling people not to pet the dog and why. But it is helpful, and it does teach people how to react and respond around service dogs. It really has taught all the students where I work at a gymnastics facility that, you know, they never had a service dog in the gym, and now they are just so used to having a service dog around. Hi, Emily. This is perfect. This is going to be great for you. You can, once this is done, the parts that you missed, you can go back and you can comment on the whole thing, and we'll see how many comments you leave. We'll see if you can beat your record, because this is 40 minutes long. So all the girls and boys and coaches at where I work at gymnastics, it's like Sonoma's like another coach. Like, they see him, they know he's there. No kid goes to touch him, no coach talks to him, they just all go da-da-da, and they talk to me because I'm a gymnastics coach, and I do my thing, and Sonoma does his thing, which is sitting on his little mat with his harness on or with his vest on and hanging out there. What is the weirdest thing someone has said to you because you got anything really rude? The weirdest thing was when I was in a hospital. This wasn't recent. I think I might have talked about this in a vlog when I was in the hospital, so maybe it was over the summer. I think the weirdest thing was when it was night and Sonoma had a corner that was like all his, and we had like blankets there because we didn't bring his bed, but we had blankets all stacked up, hospital blankets, like pillows around the side, and made him like this little bed area that was out of the way of all the equipment in the hospital and behind everything, so someone comes in and doesn't step on him and he's not in the way. And someone came in the middle of the night, and there's a sign on the door because it said that there's a service dog in the room, because some people would come in and do stupid things, or some people would be afraid of dogs, and I'm not going to judge people who are afraid of dogs. It's like being afraid of snakes. I'm not afraid of dogs, but one person was really afraid of dogs, and they did say later, my mom said, oh, come on, like, look how friendly he is. She didn't say this to him. She said this to me. Sonoma was like sleeping. And I said, hey mom, who knows? He could have got bitten by a dog when he was a kid. My mom goes, you know what? You're right. I should have thought about that. And then later, the guy came back in. He was just like a tech, and he said, I'm sorry. And you could tell he was just very nervous, but he did come in. And he said, you know, I'm just afraid of dogs because I was attacked by a dog a couple years ago. And I was like, see, like, things like that, you have to think about, because you might not always think that. Oh, yeah, so there's the time where someone came in the middle of the night and started barking, like yapping, making dog yappy noises at Sonoma, which made him bark back at them, and then they went and reported us to the hospital saying that he was a problem, and they brought in the security guards, and Sonoma's laying there all completely calm and relaxed, and the security guards come in like all manly, and they go, all right, so what's the problem? And we're like, I don't know, someone reported Sonoma, like my service dog here, but they really initiated it themselves because they were barking at him. And they said, who would bark at a dog? And we're like, I don't know, but this person barked at a dog. And Sonoma was this whole time sleeping just like this in the corner of our hospital room. And they were like, well, I'm looking at your dog right now, and there's like 5 security guards in here, and we're all talking. Your dog is fine. Don't worry about it. There's no problem. The other time Emily was mentioning, she has a better memory than me about these things, is that my mom was in the elevator bringing Sonoma to the bathroom because I was in the hospital and he had to go outside, so I couldn't leave my room, so she had to bring him outside in the parking lot area and bring him to go to the bathroom. And he would sit in the elevator and he would be very, service dog-like and acting as he should. And someone said, oh my gosh, does the dog bite? And my mom said, no, he's a service dog. And when she told me that, I just laughed really hard. Oh, I missed what Kira just said. What did she just say? It just oh. Yes, people do, Kira, you're right. People do I know I shouldn't pet your dog, but, there's the key word, but he's so cute. Or I know I shouldn't be talking to your dog while they're talking to your dog, but they're so cute. And that's why I said, well, if you know, then don't, or then don't, and then I just leave. I walk the opposite direction. I gain control, keep control of Sonoma, and I ignore them because I'm like, you just said you shouldn't do that. There are plenty of people who do the wrong things but don't know, and then they're so sorry and they feel so bad, and I'm like, gosh, it's okay, it's really not a big deal, don't worry about it, I'm not that mean. I can only relate in terms of Lucy being a non-service animal, but it really angers me even then, and she doesn't. Come back, comment, Kira. And she doesn't alert to health issues, jerks. Yeah, when people clearly say that they know they shouldn't be doing something and then they do it anyway, that is really bothersome. But when people do the same thing and then I say, you can't do that, like it's distracting them, and then they go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to distract your dog, it's a completely different story. Because they didn't know. And now you could just tell, the quality of people based on how they react. So if there are not any other questions, honestly, I'm really tired and my room is really, really dry, so I really need a cup of water. So I really want to go downstairs and grab a cup of water. So if there are any more questions, I will answer them. I'll wait 2 minutes if people are typing. I'm gonna get a good shot of Sonoma's head right here. Yes, what a good boy you are. People just don't realize how stupid their actions are around service dogs. Service dogs make them look clearly they don't know. Yeah, hi big boy. Mwah. Mwah. Oh, who's stretching their leg? Yes, you are. Are you gonna show belly? Are you gonna show belly? You gonna take a nap? Alright, so if there are any other questions, if people are watching this later when it is not live anymore, and you leave them in the comments, I will respond to comments and questions. Thank you everyone for watching, and I hope you learned something that helped you. What? Do you have anything else to say, Sonoma? Say, don't bark at me, stop staring at me. He says, I don't stare at you, don't stare at me. Just leave me alone. I'm with my handler, and I'm here to help her, not to help you. Right, Sonoma? Thank you for watching.